Our next guest is award-winning actor Kelsey Grammer, who's marking 40 years since he first started playing Dr. Frasier Crane. Wow. The character was first introduced to all of us on Cheers in 1984. Wow. Grammer then went on to win 4 Emmys playing the psychiatrist on the spin-off show Frasier. Now he's back for season 2 of the Frasier reboot on Paramount+. In this clip from the special 2-episode premiere, Frasier is shocked to discover his friend Alan gave his son life-changing advice without his knowledge.
Yeah, that was...
My son came to you for advice, and you simply shared your wisdom with him. Thank you. I am grateful.
Ah, wonderful. Well, I'll be on my way.
How dare you! You told my son to drop out of Harvard and become a firefighter, which I am entirely okay with. You could have told me that he was considering the noblest of professions, but instead, you hid from me this rash decision to become the kind of hero that just makes my heart swell with pride. I love you, Freddie. You, go to hell, Alan.
First on CBS Mornings, Kelsey Grammer joins us right now. Bravo, bravo.
Really well done.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
He delivers a line, which I'm totally fine with.
That's what I was going to start with, Gayle. Within the timing, the jokes, of course, the brilliant acting, there is this relatable content that is on this show. What excites you about playing this character and being involved in this reboot?
What continues to excite me about playing Frasier is that he's still relevant. He's relevant in his own life. He may not be relevant in a lot of other people's lives, I don't know. I hope he is. But he gets up every morning trying to make a difference in his life and to make a difference in the lives of those he loves. And that is always fun to play.
Very intentional.
Yeah.
So in this reboot, you're a Harvard professor, you're in Boston, but there's an episode, I understand it, in season 2 where you go back to Seattle, get back in touch with the radio roots of the original show, and you were emotional with that episode.
Well, it was funny at first. I also directed that episode. It was born, the idea was born when we were trying to figure out a way to get Roz to the East Coast, to Boston, and have it be an organic reason, something that would make sense. So we were talking about doing a podcast, sort of a revisiting of my original show on radio. And then I said to the guys in the room, I said, why don't we just go to Seattle? And everybody said, yeah, why not? And it's basically the Thomas Wolfe thing, you know, you can't go home again. So that Seattle now, we realize, is not the place for Roz anymore either. And it's a sort of a bittersweet farewell to Seattle that actually Frasier never had a chance to do because he went back to Boston.
Right.
We didn't see that goodbye thing for him, except it was years ago when he was on his way to Chicago. So now Roz has a reason to be there. Her daughter lives on the East Coast. We went back to the set. We rebuilt the radio set. People would walk in and say, oh my God, it's just, oh, it's so emotional to see that set. And I'm like, that's a set. Who cares about it? But in the moment when I sat down and said, hello, this is Dr. Frasier Crane. I'm listening. I teared up.
It hit you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember the original Frasier, and part of the fun was that dynamic between you and your father figure at the time. And now cut to you and your son, the father-son dynamic.
Right.
What is that like for you now? Because now you're the dad.
Well, that's the whole idea.
That's what I like about it.
So the spine for this reboot basically is the father-son relationship, just like it was the original show. The pilot for the first show was called The Good Son.
Yep.
The pilot for this one was called The Good Father. I'm both of those.
And Frasier still got that ego too. That's also
he has that ego, but it's softened a bit. He's I like to think that Frasier is starting to step into his sacred masculine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's he's looking after people.
I like that sacred
and
masculine.
he's doing the right thing by himself and by the people he loves, and that's a great thing.
And
he's always intended
Greer
to
is
do
doing it.
That's right. Speaking of father,
my own daughter is in the show. Yes, that's true. I've done.
What is it like working with her?
She's great. She's terrific. Let me.
You say with no bias.
Oh yeah. She looked beautiful that night. That was the opening for Last Tycoon. But Greer is a magnificent young woman, and she's actually pretty talented.
What's your bit of advice to her?
Well, you know what? My kids. I don't know what that is about kids. You know, their dad's in the same business they are, and they don't really feel very comfortable asking me for advice. Recently, we had a conversation, and I said, well, if I was to tell you one thing, the cameraman is the first set of eyes that your performance will ever be seen by. So always make the cameraman your friend. Camera operator is your god.
I do the same
Yes,
thing.
yes,
A lot of nods
yes,
over here.
Shout out to our crew.
Maxie, I feel that too.
Love you guys.
So that's
I
the
so agree
first
with
set
you.
of eyes.
Yes.
Your first audience is
Make
that
them
set of
your
eyes,
friend.
and
I
they'll tell
so
you
agree.
if you need another one or not. So I always check with them.
Can I talk to you about your sister Karen, who we lost in a car accident years ago, and now you're writing a book about that?
My sister was murdered
Murdered.
Oh, wow.
almost 50 years ago.
Wow.
It took a long time for me to come to a place where I thought I could write a book about it. And it's been an amazing discovery. It took me 2.5 years to write it. It'll be out in 6 months.
Why do you want to write it?
Well,
Especially
it's
since
funny.
she was murdered. I thought it was a car accident.
No.
Hearing that it was a murder is very,
Yeah,
very,
it was a deliberate
very
act.
deep. Yes.
It was a deeply troubling act by 3 young men.
Why
at
do
the
you want to
time.
write about that?
Closure.
For
Grief.
you.
Continuing closure for me. And to actually pass on the idea that other people who have been through the same kind of grief, the same kind of just wrenching, forever grief, can turn to some things if they have the grace and the understanding that love is forever.
Oh, boy.
That love you had is real and forever. It doesn't disappear. And that helped me a lot. I was doing a session because, I produced a show called Medium years ago. So I knew every medium in the industry, in the world. They all wanted their own television show. So some are amazing, some, not so much. But I was speaking to somebody 3 years ago in a session, and she said, "Oh, your sister says tell her a story."
Whoa. Kelsey, when the book comes out, I hope you'll come back here and share
Thank
with
God
us.
love
do.
you. I'd love
No,
to.
I'm
Thanks.
serious.
We
I would
appreciate
love
you joining us.
Thanks, man.
You're a
Great
living
to see you.
legend.
I'd love to hear about
Kelsey Grammer,
that.
thank you so much. Season 2 of Frasier premieres Thursday on Paramount Plus, like CBS, a division of Paramount Global.